And welcome everybody to a Saturday edition of the EGlaze Chronicles. I am your host, EGlaze, and we are here, another episode where we're having healthy conversations. And today I am glad to welcome author, minister, father, Minister Issac Wilson Jr. to the show. And he's got a lot to talk about with his new book, The Challenges of Fatherhood. Lord have mercy, you are preaching to the choir on that one. Welcome, Mr. Minister Wilson. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Good to be here. Glad to have you inviting me on the show today.
Well, let's start with this. Being a father, what are some of the challenges you've faced in fatherhood yourself?
Well, there's been a slew of challenges, but one of them have been financial challenges.
Oh, yeah.
There have been co-parenting challenges, and just overall being in a position of a fatherhood to be a better father, to my children. That's been some of the challenges.
With those challenges, you know, the rewards at the end, because I think everybody needs to understand that. I think especially in our community, you know, if I'm being a father myself, we always try to look at fatherhood one way of it being, oh my God, there's so much, but there's a lot of rewards in fatherhood as well. Just talk about, you know, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but why this book and why did you want to write this book to get out there for fathers and things of that nature?
Well, this book, I was inspired and by God to write this book for the sole purpose that when I used to go to my kids' events at their school, and I would notice some of the children, it would be less fathers, be more mothers than fathers in the participation and the activities of those kids' lives. And so I just was questioning and asking God, where are the fathers at? Why is there not enough fathers actively involved in their children's lives? And so, God began to deal with me and collectively put some things together to form this book on the various challenges of fatherhood and why some men just walk away from that position and don't want to be bothered with it.
I know we want people to go out the book. Can you mention some of those reasons why fathers are not wanting to be bothered with it? And just some of the things that you talk about in the book when it's concerning that.
Yeah, one of the things I talked about was in here as far as the I'm sorry, thank you, sliding. But one of the things I was mentioning in here was as far as the co-parenting, what I mentioned before, where some men, they try so hard to be there in their kids' lives, but for some, it has been a challenge to co-parent with the ex, and so a lot of problems have arisen and caused a lot of men to just be frustrated by dealing with the ex and just financially not being able to support it, by paying child support. There's some men that's paying so much child support that they're not unable to really take care of themselves, because the court has been paying so much child support, and they may have to work 2, 3, or maybe even 4 jobs just to make ends meet for themselves.
So let's talk about everybody quick update. We're doing an interview right now on the EGlaze Chronicles with the author of this book, The Challenges of Fatherhood, getting in your position as a father. Minister Issac Wilson Jr. is the author of this book. Hey, nice photo. I like the photo. You cleaned up. Got a nice photo.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that co-parenting thing, because I see a lot of people talk about that. And I know you being a minister, when you hear a father say, "Man, I just can't deal with my ex, man, it's just problems and things of that nature," what do you tell them about that? Because, the kids still need their father, even though the ex might not be there. Tell them about making sure they still want to be a part of it, because we do need, it's 2 parents. It's a co-parenting thing, and I can tell you, children need both sides. So what do you tell them about getting through that problem and making sure they still fight to be a part of their children's lives?
I just tell them, it's, the power of forgiveness, which I talks about in the book. Forgiveness is the power of forgiveness. It's one of the things that if you're not walking in forgiveness, it creates a big challenge for you. It's not an easy thing to do, to be able to forgive. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances, what may occur or what happened. But it's important that you have to do that. It's not so much for you, for your sake, but for your children. We got to be mindful that our actions and certain things not only affect us, but the people around the family. And the children may find it difficult when two parents separate, which a lot of times when we're going through our own thing, we don't think about that. So it's just, we got to think about the children and how our being absent in their lives may affect them they may be stressed out in so many other ways and going through a lot of things also behind that separation.
You talked about forgiveness, and we all understand that, but, forgiving your parent, your co-parents, things like that. But how many of them do you feel, fathers in particular, forgive themselves and willing to understand that, even when you made the situation, it's okay to forgive yourself, but now it's time to move forward? How many of them think of forgiving themselves in order to move forward and become the father they can be?
Yeah, I talk about that as well in the book, as far as maturing from boys to men. It's one chapter in there called Boys to Men. And, like I said, everybody, anybody could be a father, but a father, but, being in their lives is what makes you become a dad, and just being a mature man. Like I said, just because your age, you may be older in age, does not make you a mature man. So a lot of us as men, we have to grow up and take on ownership of the responsibilities of certain things that we have done. Because it's easy to point the finger, at the other person and blame somebody. But when we start being honest with ourselves and being able to own some of the things that we've done, then we can make some progress, and you can see some growth and change within ourselves.
You write the book from a biblical ministerial perspective of you being a minister yourself, but how much does that play a part in your fatherhood, your faith and the teachings of the Bible? How much does that play a part in your fatherhood methods, and also plays a part in the book that you wrote as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I could do anything without God being the head of my life. I don't claim to be the person that does everything to a T, but that's why we all need the Lord, because regardless of what position I am, I could be a minister, whatever, but I still have my flaws and different struggles as well as a man. So, but it takes us being able to call on God and know that we still need deliverance in our lives from day to day. So I just, like I said, I always let my kids know, look, we not perfect. We strive for perfection. We may miss that mark sometime, but you continue to get up and continue to go forward and doing the best you can.
Yeah. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is your fourth publication that you've written?
Yeah, this is going to be the fourth one.
So what is it about putting pen to paper and creating these books that are just, a lot of people can't do this before? You've been doing this for a while. What is it about putting pen to paper and being able to do this type of thing that interests you and keeps you doing these books?
Yeah, it was just something that I just discovered because at one point in time that, I fell into a backsliding state, when I went through my divorce, and I just began to didn't want anything to do with the church at all. And I began to doubt God as to, was this, I began to just blame God for certain things that occurred in the relationship. And and what happened. And so I just, I fell back, and then God began to bring my mom passed. Everything started to become full circle as to, what my purpose and what my calling really was, because that, sometimes, we just do things because, it just sometimes we just do things, don't understand fully why we're doing them. But God began to speak to me in a whole lot of ways, when we hit rock bottom, and then, we reach a turning point in our lives. Sometimes, that it takes that for us to hit rock bottom for God to really open our eyes and start to speak, that we'll be able to hear from Him. And so that's what pretty much happened. And I just started writing, and as God gives me inspiration to write these things, because there's no way possible me and my own self, I could have come up and wrote these things and even came up with the topics that God, gave me for these particular books. And
let's talk about you a little bit in your journey. I want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it a little bit, divorce and what you went through. Talk about how you got to this point. Just give us a little background on how you got to the man that you are today, father and things of that nature. How did you get to this point? And because a lot of people aren't called for ministry, a lot of people ain't called for doing books, but how did you get to this point to be able to do what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I was raised in the church. My dad, he was a deacon at one point in time, and then he became a pastor. But I was raised, my father, he laid a good foundation for me as fatherhood, what fatherhood should be, and just taught me the ways of the Lord and how, what God expects from us as men and as fathers. And so I had a good role model in my father in that, and leading me as to what fatherhood should be. I was called into the ministry at a very young age, at 24 years old. So and so from there, like I said, I just been going, and like I said, at one point I did hit a turning point in my life, but God brought me back, because I had to return back to my first love, because without God, I'm really nothing, and so I just had to. God had some things for me to do, and He let me know that He has a plan for my life, and I, ministering to people and just open people's eyes up to the things that may blinding them and keeping them from see where they can go in the right direction. Like I said, these books, I believe that God inspired me to write. Anybody can read them, and it's, you don't have to be in church or know a whole lot about the Bible to understand these books that I've written. He allowed me to write them to a simplest form, or even somebody in elementary school could understand pretty much today's topics that people are going through. And a lot of times they may not be addressed in the church, or in the pulpit. So, I just thank God for just allowing me to get to this point.
We're here with the author of Challenges of Fatherhood, Getting in Your Position as a Father, Minister Issac Wilson Jr. We're going to tell you where you can go get your copy in a few minutes. But I want to ask you this. When your children, what is the father you want your children to see every day? What is the father you want your children to hear about when they say and they talk about their daddy?
Well, I would like them to know that I was a man that loved and followed God, and that I worked hard and I made whatever sacrifices for them, and I always tell them, I said, as long as you're doing something positive and constructive, I'm going to try to support you and be there for you, and so pretty much I want them to know that, I love them, and that, I'm their father first, and, I could be a friend to them, somebody they need to talk to about whatever. I'm a loving father who loves the Lord and desires to try to do what God has called me to do, and that's to help other people that maybe need help, the downtrodden, or people that are going through a lot of issues and problems that they have. And at this time with the pandemic going on, it's a lot of people that's going through a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainties that's going on in the world today. And people need a word, and they need a confidence and some reassurance and direction today. So, that's what I strive and do. And they understand my mission and my goal and which God has me on. So I'm thankful for that.
Let's talk about some of the things. Can you mention the thing that you mentioned? You talked about, some of the outlines, some of the chapters of the book, but just run down what they can expect when they read this book, some of the chapters and some of the things that you dive into in this book, the challenges.
I talk about a little bit of the identity, people establishing and knowing who you are. I talk about maturing from boys to men. I talk about 3 various women that creates a problem sometimes, or a challenge within a marriage or just a relationship that brings a challenge to fathers. And what else? Talk about communication. And communication, being able to talk to your children, being able to communicate to your children and everything, because we see today so much division in our families. Even today, we're having there's a big communication gap today in our fathers. Some parents, some children are not even talking to their parents haven't talked to their parents for years. So just to being able to bridge that gap and help people to understand what it takes to get back in a good, peaceful and loving relationship with your family, and how, and I talk a little bit about the role of the father in a household and so forth, and those various things, just to touch on a little bit.
Okay. I mean, that's what's, you mentioned some very, very interesting things to talk about, because, I think the one that resonates to me is, I always believe that, if you're going to be a father, you're going to take it on, you have to be sure and you know that your role, and understanding that. And you mentioned that a little bit, because the role is a big part of it, and knowing that you wear your position and things of that nature. Have you had what type of reception have you received on the book so far?
It's been kind of touch and go. I haven't got much because it just came out roughly about 2 months ago, and I think because of COVID, I haven't been able to really do any book signings at all, and just various podcasts that I've been going on to, and I would like to get the book more exposed so that people can be able to enjoy and get something out of these books, because I just feel as though they will be a blessing in people's lives in so many ways that they can imagine. And
let me ask you this: how's the family received it?
They receiving it pretty good. They just said that, sometimes I could be direct, and sometimes, some people can't. Sometimes people, when you direct and blunt, sometimes people receive it in different ways. But, if they say the truth will set you free, and I believe that if you, don't tell people what they want to hear, but, tell people what they need to hear. And, a lot of times when I say I want, and I always tell my friends, don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what I need to hear, because I really believe that that's what's going to help me, because a lot of things I can't see about myself that you all can see, that, I need somebody to shine light on so that I can be a better friend or father or whatever, And
I have a few more questions. One, whenever you see your book published and you see your face and the words that you put the pen and paper and it becomes published, what are your reaction when you finally see that book all together? You get a chance to hold it in your hands.
It brings me great joy just to see the labor that you put in. So you was like, wow, I wouldn't even imagine that this came through. But it's about faith. You know, just like you building a house, you just don't know. You got an idea what it may look like, but when you see the finished product of it, you be like, wow, okay, look at God.
Look at, look at
yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah. So, but because like I said, I'm not in it so much for the money. It'd be nice if I did make a lot of money off these books, but at the end of the day, I'm just, thankful to get the word out there to people, because, I work, that's why I go to work every day, but I'm just thankful, just to be able to share God's word with people and to see people change and grow, especially us as men, because, our young Black men, we need, it's not enough mentorship and leadership and guidance in our community, and we seeing all of these murders, and we say Black Lives Matter, but I still see us murdering one another, and that bothers me. And it's something not right when you still seeing this Black on Black crime, but when somebody from another race shoots to kill us, then we got a problem. But we should have a problem when we killing each other. So that kind of bothers me, when we see this stuff going on like this today.
So, I'll ask this, if things of this, so what, in your opinion, that some of the things that we could do to improve that in our communities as far as our Black on Black crime?
Yeah, we need more outreach. We need more positive Black men to get out in the communities, get in the hedges, the highways and the byways, and just to go out to reach out, because some of the mothers, they're scared of their own son. That son get a little taller than them. A lot of them, they're scared to pull the belt out on them or being able to discipline and everything. So someone say, I'm scared. So that's when the men, which, when I was coming up, a lot of the older men, they pull you aside. Come here, young buck. Let me holler at you for a minute, man. And, talk to you for a little bit. And it's not enough of that. We see things, but we turn our head to it. Instead of us, pulling these young guys up and, telling them, man, look, you need to try a different route, and just show them in the way.
Right. I want to thank you for coming on, sir. It's a book that we all need to pay attention to, the challenges of fatherhood, getting in the position, in your position as a father, Minister Issac Wilson Jr. Minister, I want you to go ahead, and I want to ask you to do a couple things. One, tell them where they can get a copy of the book, and two, where they can follow you at to find out more about what you have going on.
They could go on to, I'm on all the social media with the Issac Wilson author, and they could also go on any social medias. I'm on author Issac Wilson, and they should be able to find me.
Okay, and you get the book on Amazon, or a place like that.
Yeah, Amazon, all the online book outlets. You should be able to purchase whatever book that I have out there that's available.
All right. Well, there he is, Mr. Issac Wilson, the author of the book, The Challenges of Fatherhood. Is this the last book, or do you got more in you?
Oh, I got a whole lot more in me. Especially, far as relationships. I want to do one more, I think, relationship book. Because I do have one book, Misdefining Love. That's a relationship book, but I think, the Lord is leading me to another relationship book on how, I guess, to be able to select, being able to select your mates, because a lot of people, we just don't have any idea as to what we're getting into until it's too late. And it's easy to get into, but sometimes some things are hard to get out of. So,
I like We thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Make sure y'all go check out the book, guys. The Challenges of Fatherhood. In your position as a father, you can go check it out, buy it and purchase it on Amazon and all other online media book outlets. Minister Issac Wilson. Follow him at Issac Wilson, author, on all the social media platforms. Thank you, sir, for joining. We appreciate you coming on the EGlaze Chronicles. So
I appreciate you for having me on. I'll be glad, anytime be willing to come back, anytime to have me on, brother.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And to everybody who watches the show, we thank you guys. Remember to continue optimizing your vision. You have a great day.
All right, thank you.